Hello, I'm Suzanne James. Welcome to Nightshift, the podcast where we talk all things voluntary assisted dying in Australia. Very pleased to be once again joined today by Mr. Michael Kaltenbaugh. He's the President of Dying With Dignity Queensland and is here today to talk to us about the recently released report, an annual report from the Queensland Voluntary Assisted Dying Review Board. And Michael's here to talk to us about that now. Michael, welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Suzanne. It's a pleasure to see you again on this beautiful, beautiful Wednesday afternoon up here in Townsville. And the lead off that you're talking about with our annual review is really almost the best we could ask for. We have been very here in Queensland very studious to make sure we follow the guidelines and the frameworks and the processes that have been set out. And this annual report is a report card on that progress. And we're very happy to see the results we've seen.
This is their third annual report, is that right, Michael?
It is indeed. And the report shows a 30% year-on-year uplift in individuals taking advantage of this end-of-life treatment choice.
Now, the report says that all of those people were aged between the ages of 18 and 101. The
Mm.
median age was 75, and 76% of people had a cancer diagnosis. Were there any surprises for you in relation to that in this report?
None at all. I think by any objective measure we look at, the Queensland legislation has been extraordinarily well received, well delivered, and well managed. I'm not surprised in the least that the median age is about 75. I would have expected that. I'm also not surprised at the diagnosis because we are in that age group where the big C tends to raise its head, in people's lives and affects them adversely. And so I was not surprised by that at all. But one of the things I have noticed about my fellow Queenslanders is we will tend to have a cup of tea, chew on a biscuit, have a think, and then figure out a way to get through it, to get on with it. And I think that is a testimony to the quality of the people we have in regional Queensland. These folks have had many opportunities to just roll over and say, you know what, this is all too hard. But instead, what we have done is we said, nope, we can make this work.
Well, judging from the report, it's working very well for Queenslanders, and it's obviously been a huge effort on behalf of the community and organisations such as yours and the Queensland Health Department. Do you feel there's a particular contributing factor that's made it such a success, or is it all those things?
I think it's every one of those things and then some. I think the collaborative spirit between QVAD SPS, Palliative Care Queensland, and not-for-profit groups like ourselves have really come together and found a common ground to be able to educate, make aware, and continue to advocate for this end-of-life treatment choice. The special shout out, support and pharmacy service. They are great practitioners. They are on their game. They are effective. They are empathetic. They are they have this can-do spirit within the frameworks and the guidelines that is almost, well, it is a very positive influence for what is a very intensely personal process.
And it is very positive that people coming to the end of their life have this as an option. And it's a huge credit to everybody involved that it is operating safely and working so well for Queenslanders. I guess all of that augurs well for your upcoming statutory review, which is due to happen next year. How are you feeling about it all going into that review, Michael?
One is the recent activities in ACT. ACT has worked on their eligibility requirements, especially about the length of time from diagnosis to making that available. I think that is a very positive step to allow people to start thinking through what quality of life versus quantity of life they are going to be confronting with their end of life treatment choices. That's number one. Number two, the results of the third annual report by any objective measure continue to highlight it's working. And number three, I think that highlights to the citizens of Queensland, we have earned the right through diligent, following of the rules, guidelines, and regulations to have this extended, supported, and taken into the future in a way that makes sense for individuals who want to make that end of life choice. Because if you think about this, from a Queensland perspective, there is a 13-step process that one goes through from the time one is eligible till the time that the activity is taken care of to do the end of life treatment. And each one of those steps were wisely put in place a number of years ago, but we're smarter now than we were then. We've learned a lot about what that works, what doesn't work. We've seen where maybe just a little bit of smoothing will make that process even better. The second is eligibility. With some of the work that ACT has done, plus our own felt experience here in Queensland, it opens up the opportunity for us to have a deeper discussion about what eligibility looks like, how we can equip the individual with better choice around quality versus quantity in an end of life situation.
So what's the next steps for your advocacy community in general up there, Michael? You've been having some recruitment with your board and other things happening?
Well, we just had our AGM a month ago, and so the good news is the membership have decided that it probably makes sense for us to continue with many of the same management committee members. We've added to a gentleman out of Mackay and a woman from Inner Brisbane. Getting the individual in Mackay is a big step forward for me because I want us to have far more regional representation in the committee structure so that we get that broad-based perspective of what's going on with inside of Queensland.
What's the thing that gives you the most comfort about the way VAD is working for those very ill people in Queensland that wish to avail themselves of it?
As you're probably aware, one of these steps in the process of going through QVAD, of going through VAD is what they call the second witness. And the second witness is an individual who cannot be in any way, shape, or form associated with the individual who has made this choice. I have had the honor, and I mean that distinctly as an honor, to do that with 4 individuals. And so it's given me an opportunity to see firsthand how the process works, how the individuals are in their mindset as they've reached this end of life choice, and the incredible affection and support of their family members as we go through this particular process. And above all else, Suzanne, that's what gives me strength. That's what gives me the comfort that we have got this just about right. We can get smarter as far as process and extension and support and funding, but we've got the overall process well entrenched, well accepted, and well managed from beginning to end. I think, however, there is one thing that is looming on the horizon that I think is going to be very important for us to keep in mind, and that is the preparation of the individual to get ready to go through this process. It is not the right time to do it when you come back from the doctor's office after getting a life-altering treatment diagnosis. The time to do it is beforehand. The time to do it is to talk to your family beforehand and make sure that your practitioners, your healthcare providers, your family, and you are all on the same page. That is also one of the lessons I'm learning as I get involved more and more in the nuts and bolts of the process on how this all works.
I think one of the major achievements of voluntary assisted dying advocacy everywhere is the normalisation of advanced care plans and advanced care directives and the ability of people to have those conversations with their family and talk about what they would or would not accept in terms of medical treatment under the various scenarios. And whilst that is a separate thing from voluntary assisted dying, it does open up conversations and help people who may down the track for whatever reason wish to talk about voluntary assisted dying.
Well, I think also, if I can add, we're in a transition phase right now, I believe, here in Queensland, to where VAD is becoming an end-of-life treatment choice, properly funded and managed by Queensland's Health, properly supported by frameworks to be able to make that work. and is now open to the idea of how we extend, expand, and support that across Queensland in general. We couldn't ask for a better position to be in. You know, if I lived in a perfect world, which I certainly don't, I would love to wake up at some point in time in the future where VAD just becomes an end of life treatment choice for individuals that are eligible and that is their desire to want to have happen.
Well, certainly New South Wales and Victoria, we've seen it work very comfortably alongside palliative care. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's really good to see that it's just becoming another end of life choice. It can be
Yep.
used in conjunction with palliative care or as a separate standalone service, and people are beginning to understand that it's just one more string in the bow that can help some very ill people.
Well, it also allows the individual to exercise the power of their own choice. And that intensely personal power, when confronted with life-altering situations like this, can be very affirmative in how individuals treat this journey that they're on. And I think seeing it firsthand continues to reinforce my overarching love of the human spirit and how well it operates, even under pressure, to be able to do the things that we do effectively.
Do you use nurse practitioners up there or is it
We
doctors
do.
only? You do.
No, and we here in Townsville, we have the Townsville Health and Hospital Service, THHS, and the two nurse practitioners that head that up are one of them came from palliative care, and the other one came from end of life treatment, and so they are extraordinarily well suited to be able to handle the catchment that they are accountable for up here. And I think that what we need, what our citizenship and government could do, would be to extend the support, get a little bit better funding, make sure these people are not being pulled pillar to post. If we, by pillar to post, I mean VAD acceptance is growing 30% year on year. Staffing is not keeping up with that. Funding has not kept up with that. So part of this upcoming review process is to help realign that a little bit, which I think is a very good place for us to be.
Well, I certainly find it gobsmacking every single day the things people have achieved in relation to voluntary assisted dying and dealing with the politics and everything else just to help people that are so deserving of help and they're suffering from a terminal illness. They're going to die anyway. They're in terrible, terrible situations. And for anybody to try and block that for any reason, I think is just morally bankrupt. I really do.
In the same way that VAD is not for everybody, these other societal views are not for everybody either. And I think coming out of this, if we can have a mutual respect for your opinion, my opinion, their opinion, and the like, I think that will benefit us all. Because to your point, we're all going anyway. It's a matter of how we choose to go with dignity, how we choose to go under our terms, how we choose to make quality and quantity in life choices in the best interest of the individual. And we can't ask for anything better.
Michael Kaltenbaugh, it's been an absolute pleasure, as always, talking to you again today. Thank you so much for joining us.
You bet. Listen, happy holidays if I don't get a chance to speak to you before.
Same to you. Thank you very much.
I look forward to talking to you in early 2026, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be able to have these conversations.
You've been listening to Michael Kaltenbaugh, President of Dying with Dignity Queensland, talking to us about the latest report, the third annual report from the Queensland Voluntary Assisted Dying Review Board. I'm Suzanne James. Thank you for joining us on Night Shift. We'll see you next time.